Jake Hatch of Locked On Cougars joining Locked On Big 12 today. BYU is going to upset this school in 2024, and it may be Utah. But before we get there, Jake, to your answer, what I first need to know, before we get to, hey, they can upset this team, I need to know the moxie meter, where the school is. Because I've seen the old documentaries about the game between Michigan and Ohio State. And, any year that Michigan wins a national championship, Ohio State puts a big banner of it on the floor in their locker room. And that's what you have to walk over on the way to practice every day. BYU lost its last 5 games, 0-5 down the stretch last season. How much of that is ingrained in this team to try to reverse it this season?
Well, let's just put it this way. They've heard it every single day all off season long. There's a video they put out from their strength staff not that long ago, and it's like one microcosm. But one of the strength coaches, Drake, they're doing these workouts in LaVell Edwards Stadium, running stairs, and he says, "Hey, you guys want to go 5-7 again next year? Do what you're doing right now." And trust me, they have heard that time and time again. I had one of the coaches I was just talking to off to the side of practice the first day of training camp, and I said, "How much is that 0-5 that you guys suffered down the stretch sticking with you?" And he said, we literally think about it every single day. And that is a highly, highly motivating factor. This is a BYU program that aspires to be great, Drake. And I think they understand that there was going to be struggles making the transition to the Big 12, but they do not like the fact that everybody feels like they are a crappy program, and they are that 5-7 team that went 2-7 down the stretch a season ago with that 5-game losing streak to lose out. They consider themselves to be a middle tier Big 12 program at the very worst. And right now they're near the bottom. And I don't think that sits well with anybody in Provo.
The schedule this season, it's not crazy to me that BYU beats Southern Illinois. And I don't think for me, it's that crazy. SMU and Wyoming, though those games are on the road. However, they're the ones you build in, like Kansas State and Oklahoma State and Utah and Kansas, that are really good football programs. Where does the big marquee win, the game-changing, season-changing win, come from BYU? And again, this is us talking about it on Wednesday, August 7th.
Now, I know I want it to be Utah. I'll be frank. You always want that rivalry win over the Utes. But, Drake, I'm going to go a little bit opposite. I'm going to go with their Big 12 opener, Kansas State. Avery Johnson coming to Provo, Utah. If I'm not mistaken, it'll be his first true road start as a starting quarterback for KSU. I think BYU wants to make a big kind of message and just show the Big 12 what they're made of. Go and beat Kansas State at home and probably under the lights in late September there in Provo, and really show the Big 12, hey, maybe BYU is a little bit better than we considered. Now, that would obviously be the first of what will end up being 9 Big 12 games. You have to do it again the following week, and obviously every week from there on out. But I think it would go a long way to, engendering a lot of confidence that BYU maybe isn't as bad as we all perceive they are if they can kick off Big 12 play by going 1-0 and knocking off the team that is literally just footsteps behind Utah in terms of the favorites in the Big 12.
A lot of people have Kansas State beating everyone else in the conference to win the championship. And those who don't have Kansas State very likely have Utah. Those seem to be the two popular picks. Is it atmosphere alone, or is there and again, it's August 7th. We don't know how the depth charts exactly are going to shake out. Is it atmosphere alone that you lean on here in this matchup, or is there already something you think, hey, schematically, X's and O's, this guy, this hat versus this hat, BYU can find an advantage?
I think the biggest thing for them, if it's the Kansas State example, or even if Cam Rising with Utah for the same thing, you bottle up that quarterback. I think that would give you a really, really good opportunity. They're both quarterbacks that like to make plays with their legs. Now, Avery Johnson has got elite speed. We all know this. This is a kid that is expected to really open up this Kansas State offense. But Jay Hill and that defense, and it's a borrow from Utah. Kalani Sitake both learned this under the tutelage of University of Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham. It is a defense that is built to stop the run, including quarterback run. If you can bottle up Avery Johnson, the Kansas State example, or if you can slow down Cam Rising and make it so it's a one-dimensional team where you're putting that game on the arm of either Avery Johnson or Cam Rising, who both of which have yet to really prove that they can win a game, it feels like, truly with their arm, that would go a long way to helping BYU win those games. Now, it's a whole lot easier said than done because those are two of the best quarterbacks in this league. But if BYU wants to have the hope of doing it, you got to make them one-dimensional and tell those quarterbacks, you're going to beat us with your arm. If you can do that, props to you, but you will not beat us with your feet.
Avery Johnson and DJ Giddens were both on the roster last year for Kansas State. Here's where I give BYU the window. Kansas State was, gosh, I love this magazine. It's so good. Kansas State had the 67th best rushing offense in the country best rushing defense in the country last season. And their rushing offense their offense in general is one that doesn't return enough. 47% of their offense returns. That is 106th in the country. So while the rushing offense was really good, and they bring two of their best guys back, and Edwards in there, like they're going to be able to run the football. They can't defend the run. And guess what? I know. BYU doesn't have an Ollie Gordon back there. They don't have a Shadur Sanders calling the shots. I've seen Gary Bohannon win a Sugar Bowl. I've seen Gary Bohannon run for the Roses. Like the dude has got some speed. And maybe if it's not Gary Bohannon, I knew Jake Retzloff isn't the guy who's just going to stand there. You can't be in modern college football. There are two things. One, the fact that Kansas State, this is big, was not very good defensively against the rush last year. And I think BYU could be better if the offensive line is better this year. And number two, if that Kansas State, but here's the deal. Okay, Jake, sorry. I'm on a tangent. I'm helping you. What the magazine says, Jake, if I am a coach, if I'm a head coach, I want my defense to be more inexperienced on the road. And you're like, wait a second, what? Buddy, an inexperienced offense, a quarterback who's starting for the first time, and it's in LaVell Edwards Stadium, that's not good. Kansas State is 106th in the country in return offensive production. When the DB's hands are shaking, all right, we're going to figure it out. Give him a couple plays. It's not coming at him. When the quarterback's hands are shaking, when the left tackle's hands are shaking, when the receiver, those are the guys it's going to you. Yeah. BYU can expose that with a great atmosphere. So this is where, Jake, you take the floor for the next minute and tell everyone and their mother to show up at that game, make it a night game, do the fire thing.
Oh, yeah.
And just make it hostile.
It's going to be 63,000 plus. I'll tell you right now, Drake, it is absolutely going to be jam-packed. BYU fans are, even with the down season a year ago, Cougar fans are still ecstatic to be in the Big 12 conference. And the crazy thing is their home schedule last year versus the home schedule this year are night and day different. They've got a lot better home games this year. So you can guarantee that there is going to be a fever pitch in Provo. Even if they kick it off mid-afternoon, evening, late night, doesn't matter when it's going to happen. Kansas State's walking into a beehive, to use the example. We're in Utah, we can use the beehive obviously out here, but the biggest thing is that the Cougar fans, they're always behind their team, even if their team's not that good. This is a fan base that has been tried and true for years. They've gone all over the country in that independent era. They showed up in places. I know that you're down there in Savannah. They went to Georgia Southern and outnumbered Georgia Southern fans not too far away from where you're at. They've been to Middle Tennessee State, using some G5 examples. They've gone to Wisconsin. They've gone to Tennessee. BYU's played in some of those bigger environments. Guess what? LES, as we like to call it, LaVell Edwards Stadium, is absolutely electric when the fans are into it. And with the Big 12 opener and Kansas State coming in, you can guarantee it is absolutely going to be buzzing all night long.
I'm excited. Gosh dang. Now it'll be a tax write-off, though. I'll book my flights tonight. At least it's a tax write-off. Jake, I yelled a lot. Where can people who want more of you find more of you?
Yeah, check out Locked On Cougars wherever you get your podcasts on YouTube, like Locked On Big 12. Excuse me there. If you want my thoughts on all things sports, I'm at Jacob C. Hatch on X or Twitter. You also can follow the show Locked On Cougars. It's also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well.
That's Jake Hatch. I'm Drake Toll. This has been, it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Cougars and Dose Grande.